Good morning. You're listening to Florida Commercial Real Estate Radio. I am your host, Doug Dennison, and we are broadcasting from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city, at WFOY 1240 AM studios. I will also have a co-host, Jerry Anderson, a CCIM from Sperry Van Ness Commercial Real Estate Advisors in Palm Beach County, will be calling in today as the co-host. Through the power of the internet, this program is being streamed worldwide on 1240news.com. The show will also be archived on svn.com, as Sperry Van Ness Commercial Real Estate Advisors are the sponsors of this program. Additionally, the show will be posted on youtube.com. We're going to be talking about commercial real estate all around Florida, different real estate markets across the state. We've got lots of topics today. Again, to help us out, we've got Jerry Anderson. Jerry, are you on the line?
Good morning, Doug, from South Florida.
Yes, Palm Beach County. Palm Beach County. Tell us what you do for our listeners, Jerry, and what firm, and give us all that kind of good stuff.
Of course, Sperry Van Ness International is the licensor. Sperry Van Ness Florida is the operation that I run here in the state. We have about 20 offices around the state. Our offices are independently owned and operated, and it really helps those local advisors, those local agents, to be part of a national platform, one of the top 10 commercial real estate companies in the world. So we're very proud of that, and in terms of our rankings in Florida, depending on which magazine of the commercial real estate industry you believe, number of transactions, we're typically number one or two. The last couple of years, we duped it out year after year.
Okay.
The number of transactions with Marcus and Millichap. So very active here in the state of Florida. Anxious to be part of the commercial real estate show for Florida and certainly be your co-host.
Well, thanks for calling in and being the co-host. And you're kind of in charge of the Florida whole state, and there's lots of offices. But tell me about your strategy and the growth plans around the state of Florida, if you would.
Yes, sir. Sperry Van Ness Florida, Doug, is the operation that I am, in essence, the master licensee for the state of Florida. So what that means is we have a very tight group of offices around the state. We're stronger in some areas than others, but our typical offices are usually due in terms of gross commissions, which is how we measure it in the commercial real estate industry, typically between $1 million and $5 million a year in gross commission income. Those offices around the state do what we call serve all the food groups, meaning they work on retail, multifamily, office, industrial, and some of those offices have stronger groups in terms of expertise than others. But we've been building that now over the last couple of years. Very proud, as I mentioned, to be in a number 2 position or number 1 position, depending on the year, over the last 2 or 3 years in terms of number of transactions in the state.
Very nice. I have been in real estate for 20, 25 years, and it always kind of perplexes me on why some people are just superstars and while others, seem to be trying, they don't make it to the superstar level. Tell me, what do you think are the behaviors that are responsible for top performance in commercial real estate?
Well, I think some of those, that top performance, and I do have a couple of specifics I'll get into here in a moment, but I see even our offices around the state. I'm going to tag back in just for a moment in terms of our strategic planning and recruiting. We have offices around the state right now, and I'm looking at my Florida map, and I think about folks that we're talking to, people that we're looking for that are going to have those behaviors that I'll mention in a moment that you just asked about. But in terms of, locale, we're talking to a couple of firms right now up in Pensacola, up in the northwest part of the state. Interestingly enough, in the central part of the state, in the 3-county area of Orlando, where we have pretty good coverage already, we have 3 different firms that we are talking to in that 3-county area about becoming part of Sperry Van Ness. We have in Tampa, we have 2 firms that we're talking to expand our Tampa office. And then In the southwest part of the state, we're just now working on adding to our horsepower, if you will, our coverage in the Naples area, the Colliers County.
Mm-hmm.
So, a real estate company like Sperry Van Ness in Sperry, Van Ness, Florida, is always in a growth mode. And the reason for that, pure and simple, somebody's going, oh yeah, well the reason for that's profits. Well, yes, ultimately, but the reason for the expansion and the reason that we are focused right now on the east coast of Florida, literally from Jacksonville all the way down through Palm Beach County, is because in the state, that's the area where we have the most void. We have some coverage, but not a lot of coverage. And here's what drives it. We have 2 phone calls today with clients asking us for coverage throughout the state. We have 1 phone call where we're talking, this is a national client that's delivering assets, delivering assignments to our advisors in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about 6 different locations in the state of Florida. For them to be able to, this client I'm talking about, be able to talk to us about, to talk to one person and have 6 agents, 6 advisors, as we call them, on the line, to talk about those different markets is very, very strong. And so we're really looking for the expansion and the growth in some of these areas to service clients that we already have on our roster. And that's what drives our recruiting strategy.
Well, and I'm looking at your map too, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to name these cities because it's just really nice. You've got great coverage, and I'm going to go starting from my area, which is Jacksonville, St. Augustine, New Smyrna Beach, Melbourne, Jupiter, West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Naples, Fort Myers, Sarasota, St. Petersburg, Tampa, Orlando, Winter Park, Lake Mary, Tallahassee, Panama City, and Fort Walton Beach and Destin. So you've got pretty well covered, but you're looking for more because you're growing more, and I guess it's a good time to buy commercial real estate in Florida.
Well, it's been a great time to buy. I was looking at a chart this morning. I was going to use this in my closing comments, but I'll use it now because it's a great question. There has never been as large a gap. Now I'm talking investment real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Ness does both leasing and also investment sales, about 50-50. But in the terms of investment real estate and buying commercial real estate, the gap that we have today between the amount you can get as a return on the Treasury and the amount that you can get in a cap rate in terms of return on your commercial real estate has never been wider. A consultant that we work with has been tracking this since the early 2000s, and he was sharing with me today the gap. In other words, the fact that commercial real estate has a higher yield today than the Treasury rate has never been higher. It's never been more. So yes, it's a great time to buy commercial real estate, and we do, of course, love our state of Florida.
It's a beautiful state. I've lived here for 31 years now in the South Florida area, and now up in the St. Augustine area, but been all around, and the fact that you've got all of these advisors. How many advisors do you have in Sperry Van Ness in Florida, Jerry?
We have just under 100 advisors in the state. Sperry Van Ness is about 1,200 advisors nationwide.
Okay.
And we're pretty strong on both leasing and sales, as I mentioned, the different product types that we work with. We manage nationally about 40 million square feet of space. And in fact, 2 of the companies that we're talking to in Central Florida right now for expansion are very much in the property management area. So I failed to mention, by the way, we're just now bringing a group out of Stuart, Florida, on board, and they're going to help us expand up the East Coast, which is pretty exciting to us.
Absolutely.
Now, you asked a question a moment ago.
Yes. Let me do it again. What are the behaviors that are responsible for top performance in commercial real estate?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. We tracked very carefully. What we did is we tracked about 100 of our top advisors that were consistently high producers.
Okay.
So these were not just one-hit wonders, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We tracked those top producers. These are people that consistently earn over about $550,000. That was the median.
Wow.
So within the company, we had as many above 550 as we did below, and we tracked some of their, what we call behaviors. In other words, what do they do to help themselves consistently find business, win business, and then fulfill business? And it was very, very interesting what we discovered. We looked at all of their daily activities. We had some professionals do what we call behavior profiles on them. And here is what we found. First of all, let me put it to you bluntly. Commercial real estate is a very hard job. People say, oh, no, it's not easy. All you do is show properties and you find an investor and they put their money up and you sit back and relax. No. Your job is to solve problems. So when you find a good problem solver, somebody in commercial real estate, whether they're working with investors or they're working with a tenant, they do a good job for their clients. They solve problems. Now, the beautiful part of our industry is it's very well paid. I will tell you that when you solve problems for people, you get paid very well. The average income of our top 20 in Sperry Van Ness in 2012 was $903,000.
Wow.
Right, $903,000. Now, I'm not saying that every single person in commercial real estate at Sperry Van Ness makes $900,000. I'm telling you the average of the top 20 in Sperry Van Ness last year was $903,000. And here are some of the behaviors that they have.
Okay.
Here's what we measured. It was very interesting when we measured it. And we use this, Doug, as a benchmark with any new advisor that's trying to come in the company. I looked at one today from Orlando. Gal was trying to become part of Sperry Van Ness. She focuses on the medical office field, works a lot with doctors. So the profile shows us that our folks that earn that kind of money consistently are fairly assertive. They're not obnoxiously aggressive, but they are assertive. The profile also shows us that these folks are fairly social. They're congenial. In other words, they're not very reserved. They're not introverts. But on the other hand, they're not completely extroverted either. You know, they don't necessarily need to be the life of the party, but they do find themselves being very congenial. The third characteristic that we found that helps really our top performers consistently find and win business and solve problems for their clients is our advisors tend to be what we call animated. In other words, they're not antsy and restless or impatient or fast-paced or, so over the top, multitaskers. But at the other side of the spectrum, they're not what we call calm and reserved either. In other words, they're not laid back. They're somewhat in the middle. They are animated. They're paced based on the situation. They do tend to be patient because it's a lot of work getting these transactions closed, helping their clients solve their problems. So we end up with a fairly assertive person, pretty social, somewhat calm, if you will, but not restless. And then finally, this one's very important. This is very interesting to me. They are independent thinkers. In other words, they're not somebody that typically fits in the corporate environment where you have to always color in between the lines. So it's very interesting as we watch these natural profiles. Someone assertive, fairly social, fairly calm and controlled, and yet independent as well. They're not a wild cowboy, but at the same time, they're not sitting back waiting on somebody else to tell them what to do day in and day out. These are the natural behaviors that we've discovered, anyhow, that people have that solve problems in the commercial real estate industry for their clients.
Well, if the average or the median is 550,000, I mean, they are working hard, they're doing well, they're solving problems, just like you said, and I get the behaviors, but what do they have to do to make that kind of money? What are the most important and most frequent activities of these top producers?
Well, the consistent activities do always consist of what we call STP, and it's a phrase in our industry. Many of the trainers in the industry use this STP. They're saying, if you're struggling, add a little STP. Say, STP, what the heck is that? STP stands for see the people,
okay,
see the property. So we find that consistent producers are constantly talking to people that own property. They're not just sending them an email. They're not always just maybe leaving a voicemail message. They're actually seeing the people that own real estate. They're walking the industrial parks. They're knocking on doors in office buildings. They're going to national events and talking to shopping center owners. We see a lot of that.
What's the effect of teaming on production or lack of production? How does that all fit in?
Well, we find in today's environment that a lot of our commercial real estate advisors are teaming up. Sometimes they're a team of two. Sometimes they're a team of three. I think the teams of 4 or 5 sometimes are complicated. But we see a lot of teaming. In other words, maybe one person is more assertive than the other, and the other is laid back. One's more analytical than the other, and the other's better on the sales side or more social.
Got it.
And those teaming concepts, if you can team the right person, the people together, if you can find the right person to work with, it really enhances your capability. It's very difficult to be a one-man band in this industry. I think we have a team down in Naples, Patty McClemens and Ed Bader, and they do a great job. And, Ed's stronger at some things than Patty is, and Patty's better than Ed is at others. So they're a great team. And we have examples of that all over the state. But teams do work pretty well. And the other thing that is pretty important, we find, are the designations. And
okay.
I'm sure you're familiar with some of those, right?
Yeah, but name them for us, if you will, Jerry.
Well, probably what a lot of folks call the gold standard of the industry is what they call SIOR, and then that stands for Society of Industrial and Office Realtors. CCIM is another one. That's a very difficult designation to get. It includes training. Well, all of these include training in the classroom as well as track record. And then you have the CPM, which is the Certified Property Manager. And you also have CRE. These are all National Association of Realtor designations. CRE stands for Commercial Real Estate Expert, or Commercial Real Estate Advisors is really what they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's Counselors of Real Estate is actually what the acronym stands for, Counselors of Real Estate. All of those designations make a difference. It shows the intensity, it shows the training, it shows the commitment, if you will, of the practitioner. And we carefully track the statistics of our designees within the company. And I can quote you some of those. When we do our YouTube video, it would be nice because it would be on the screen, but I'm going to blurt out some statistics here for you.
Okay.
We find that about 55 to 60% year in and year out of the top 100 advisors in Sperry Ness hold one of these or more than one of these designations. I'll say that again. We find that about 55 to 60% of the top 100
mm-hmm.
year in and year out in our company hold these designations. We find in the top 10, typically 7 or 8 of them will have one of these designations. And I looked at the top 20 because of the show today.
Sure.
Our last year, our top 20, 15 of them held one of these designations. So commercial real estate designations basically help people be a top performer because they help people solve problems for their clients. That's why those designations exist, of course.
Is there a way that you go about recruiting, hiring? Is it an art or a science to predict to success? Because it's your job to grow the company in Florida, and I know we've only got 3 or 4 minutes before the break. But, is it an art or a science?
It's really a little bit of both.
Okay.
We do look at the component I mentioned to you earlier,
Yeah.
which was what's their behavior and what's hard for them to do. Is it hard for them to be social? Is it hard for them to be assertive? Because if it's really hard for them to do that, it wears them out. So we look at those natural behaviors. We also look at the values and the cultural fit. That's very important here at Sperry Ness. The mergers we're looking at Central Florida, it doesn't have so much to do with whether we like those folks or not, or whether they're a good financial fit. I'm telling you, the most important piece is going to be the cultural fit of those two companies if we do a merger there. We look at folks' knowledge and their experience. In other words, what's their track record? Because Sperry Ness is a company for folks that have some experience.
Sure.
I often tell people, if you're brand new to the industry, you should look at two of the best training companies in the industry. I'll say this out loud publicly. Are Marcus and Nolichat and CDRE.
Mm-hmm.
Terrific training programs. If you're brand new to the industry, you should check them out.
Okay.
Sperry Ness typically is more for folks that have a little experience. We look at your reputation and references. We look at whether you sort of fit in with all of this, and that's why it's an art and a science. And finally, it comes down to the interviewer's judgment. One of our, and this I won't say which one, but one of our companies has a very interesting program right now. They're offering to their new advisors that are coming in and say, okay, come over to Sperry Ness, give us a try. If you like it, you can, we want you to be part of Sperry Ness, but you can come in and try it, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 100% of your commission for a while. Sperry Ness helps you make more money than you were making before. If you really like the environment, if you like the culture, then come on in. And if you don't like it, again, you get 100% of your commission for a while. If you don't like it, simply leave. No harm, no foul.
Wow.
Well, that's an unbelievable offer.
Sure is.
To an experienced agent.
Jerry, how do people get a hold of you? We've got about 30 seconds left. I want to make sure that people know how to reach you.
Certainly. Easiest way is email, jerry.anderson@svn.com. And I'll even give you my phone number, jerry.anderson@svn.com. Area code 386-547-4968.
And do you have a website too, Jerry?
Well, yes we do, svnflorida.com.
Okay, this is the Florida Commercial Real Estate Radio Show, broadcast every Friday live from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida. We have as our co-host Jerry Anderson, CCIM from Sperry Van Ness from the Palm Beach County, Florida area, giving us a lot of great information about the commercial real estate business. Thank you.